Hey, everybody. Welcome to the TEConnect podcast. I'm John Martin.
And I'm Dean Reverman.
Dean, cast your mind back once upon a time
Casting.
when you were new,
Yes, a newbie.
a newbie
Yes.
to a job,
Yeah. Oh, okay.
an
All right.
industry,
Yes.
and you looked around and thought, what am I doing here? You had imposter syndrome. Maybe you still do. I don't know. Do you ever get that sometimes? You just like,
Do I have to talk like I'm in an intro to a movie? Yes, I do
Maybe.
remember.
There was a time.
There was a time.
when we were all new at a job.
That's right. Yes, I remember those times. Yeah.
So, well, remember, it can be, there's a lot to learn.
There is.
You're starting. I mean, 5 years back, I remember starting at BlueStar, and
Yep.
so much to learn.
Oh, dude, yeah.
I
thought I knew everything about distribution.
I
when
knew
started.
nothing. Well, I knew nothing about distribution. I knew
Bingo.
nothing about this channel.
Bingo.
I knew nothing about really IT.
Bingo.
My previous experience had been in retail, higher ed publishing, higher education publishing,
Yeah.
and food service supplies and equipment. I had not touched this industry yet at all.
Golly.
I got technology.
No,
I was a
you're
tech guy, but
You're giving me flashbacks that are kind of horrific.
Okay,
because,
well,
yeah.
Well, I mean, that's probably what a lot of folks are facing when they start working
That's
for
a really good
VAR
point.
or a
Yes.
vendor.
When they're
or an
entering into this
ISV,
channel? Oh,
when they're
yeah.
coming into the channel,
You
or
have
maybe they're
no idea.
starting a new business
Yeah,
and
yeah.
want to start selling this kind of stuff and learning about this channel that we're part of.
For sure.
So this is actually our topic for today. In fact, it's a topic that was recommended by one of our listeners.
There you go.
We're always saying all the time, well, hey, folks, tell us
Yes.
what you want to hear about on the show. And someone finally took us up on it.
And he
Someone-
got a shirt for
he
it.
got a T-shirt for it. We'll call him
love
out
it.
here in a little bit and explain a
Yeah,
little
yeah,
bit more of what he said. But so this is a good topic though, and I think it's going to be very useful for not just new. So I know we're talking about this is the new VAR guide to the channel. But listen, if you're listening this far and you're thinking, oh, this is for newbies, I don't need to listen to this.
No.
I'm a
This is good for
20-year
everybody. We got
seasoned
good
pro.
topics. Yeah,
There's
I know.
stuff you should be thinking about here because I'm of the belief that you should always be learning.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
There's no such thing as I know too much
No
and
at
I
all.
don't have anything else left to learn.
Yeah.
You might pick up some things you hadn't thought about, things
sure.
that have changed over your time in the business.
Yep.
It's always good to take a moment to refresh. Plus, if you are someone who's been in the channel for a long time, you might be someone who's responsible for hiring people into your business. And if that's the case, you should know what they're thinking and feeling when they're coming in.
Yes.
The questions they might have, the stuff that they're concerned about and wondering about. So there should
Plus,
be something good for everybody.
Don't we have a couple snippets from some
We
other
do.
thought leaders in
We're
the
actually
industry?
going to hear from some of our customers who
that
told us
alone.
a little bit about their
You don't want to hear
experience
you and
starting
me
out.
talk.
No.
You could hang out for that.
Obviously, again, I'm just 5 years into this, and there's still things that I'm like, I didn't know we did that,
What?
So I'm still learning all the time.
That's right.
All that plus our usual value to the VAR. What's tech connecting with us? It's time to plug in and get connected.
Welcome to the TEConnect podcast. It's time to get connected.
All right, Dean, let's get into this here. So first of all,
Yep.
yes, this was a topic that was submitted by one of our listeners. His name is
Love it.
Danny Cedano. Let's say Cedano. I hope I'm
Cedano.
pronouncing that correctly. He just recently started within the last month or two, I think.
Yep.
At DBK Concepts.
Yep. Nice
And
big company.
Started listening to the podcast. Thank you. I mean, that's
Right?
awesome.
Yes.
Awesome
Great.
that you found this. I've actually noticed Danny has been popping up everywhere. When we're on webinars, he's been attending all the webinars.
He's all in trying to figure it out.
He is. And to me, that's incredibly smart. We'll talk more about that
Oh,
later.
yeah, for
But I
sure.
think it's one of the smartest things you can do when you're new is absorb as
No doubt
much
about it.
information as possible.
Yep.
So he's already doing it, and he went ahead and sent us a message. He filled out the form, said, hey, guys, I'm new. I want to know, from, the newbie's perspective, what I should know about
What
what I
should
should
I
do.
know? Yeah.
Basically, the essential question he asked us, which we will answer along the way with a lot of other stuff, is if you guys are starting all over, what would you do? What would you know? What would you do differently maybe compared to then versus now? So
What
I
a
think
great question.
It is. It's a great baseline question. And
It
it
is.
turns out we actually had some footage of some folks that already given that answer. We'll get to that in a little bit too.
Yeah.
But, thank you so much, Danny. We appreciate, one, that you're listening, that you're supporting the show, and thanks for submitting a topic because this is a great topic, I think, for us to get into. And it's something we might kind of revisit a little bit over time too.
Yeah,
little,
absolutely.
Little tidbits to help some folks along the way. with
Wish
their-
I had been
that are
that
new
smart to
the
ask
industry.
this question when I first entered the building at BlueStar.
Danny clearly is going to have a good career because he's already got a leg up on asking good questions.
100%.
out of the gate.
There you go.
All right, well, let's start off out of the gate here, Dean. Channel sales. it can be a little tricky if you're
yeah.
not familiar with how
For
this
sure.
stuff works. Again, I will admit, when I first came in and someone explained to me, here's BlueStar and here's what we do.
Right.
I'm like, we're not making, the people who use it they're not buying that from us. No.
Wait a minute. Who's that over there?
I'm sitting there, dotting my T, dotting T's and crossing I's because I didn't know what else to do.
Right.
I totally messed it up, and trying to do all the equations. And I finally figured it out over time. But it's not easy to wrap your head around it.
It's not. Yeah.
And especially if you come from any kind of industry that's more direct about sales.
Which I think Danny did.
Yeah,
is the underlying
I think
thing.
didn't he say he came from insurance or something? I believe.
Could be.
Maybe
yeah.
he did. Maybe he didn't.
Right.
I don't remember.
Fair enough.
But if you've come from any kind of other industry
where you're
that's
just
more of
selling
just
direct.
we made the product, or at the very least we're directly selling it to the people who are using it. It's a whole different kind of angle. So let's talk about that. So how do you explain the value proposition that comes with VARs in comparison to any other industries where maybe it's a much more direct relationship and you don't have these multiple layers? So how do you explain that? What do you emphasize there about the big key differences?
Yeah, so you really have to conceptually understand the channel, right? Before you get into the key differences, you really have to get your mind around the fact that does exist. That there is the sense of a value-added reseller who is adding value to the chain, to the end user, which is wildly different than most other industries, right? I mean, like if you're going to go buy a car, I'm going to go to the Ford dealer, and I'm going to buy it from Ford. Or if I'm going to buy...
That dealer may not have manufactured it, but there's a very thin line between that and the manufacturing process.
100%. It's not like I'm going to some dude somewhere else that sells not only that car, but other cars. Actually, I guess there is a little bit out there now with like Carvanas of the world and stuff like that. But
they're still just selling cars.
They're just selling cars. That's right. And of course, everybody understands retail and stuff like that. But when you get into channel sales, it is unique. It is a very unique thing. And value-added reselling is very unique, as it plays out. Not just MSPs and solution integrators and stuff like that, who all kind of play in this world, but a value-added reseller is very, very different than end-user direct buying. Look, first thing you have to do is understand the fact that you're bringing value to the equation. That is the whole differentiator. And I'm going to use a comparison because this will happen to you, new VAR, that's out there trying to sell. You are going to come across direct. Like you're going to be competing against maybe even some of the lines that you're selling and their direct model, because they'll have direct teams, or you're going to be selling against maybe a competitive brand that has a direct model. So first thing you need to do is to understand and leverage and promote an unbiased view. Let me get into that, because one of the biggest differentiators that you're going to have is the perception of an unbiased view. And here's what I mean by that. If you're going into a competitive situation, or if you're going to be talking to any customer and just assume that they have researched, a product, might even be engaged directly with a particular manufacturer, that manufacturer is going to have a very biased view. Most value-added resellers have a breadth of solutions, or at least a couple of solutions that they can bring to the table. And it's part of that unbiased view that I found when I worked for a reseller that was very much a differentiator. When I would walk in the door and people would come up to me and say, oh, well, we were thinking about using this product. And I would say to them, hey, well, here's our experience with that product. It was great, or it wasn't so good, or here's where we had the issues. You're building that trust, right? As opposed to the salesman for that direct piece, I can guarantee you walked in with sunshines and rainbows and unicorns the whole time. This is the best product in the world. Why would you even look? So you have an unbiased view. You need to leverage that, because there's really three things that differentiate a VAR, in my opinion. Knowledge, experience, and services. So when you think about knowledge, right, you're bringing to the table hopefully knowledge that is broader than just that one product. So again, if you're competing, or if you know that they're looking at a product, and I've got a use case that I'll get to here in just a second, then you can differentiate yourself by saying, oh yeah, we sell that, but we also sell these, or here's how these other products compare to that. So knowledge, and your knowledge of the solution, the overall solution, is probably going to be better than the direct direct source or the direct means that somebody might be going to when they go directly to a manufacturer. Because again, it's going to be very skewed. The manufacturer probably doesn't have a holistic solution. We talk about holistic solutions all the time. I mean, just
they might have the whatchamagig, but they don't have the who's or what's it.
Absolutely. Gone are the days of just walking in with one widget and saying, "Oh, this is the thing you need to buy." No, that widget connects to this, and absolutely. So the fact that the reseller has a more broader picture, this is what you need to have. This is the value that you're bringing to the table. So the knowledge of the greater solutions, and we'll get into ecosystems and stuff like that here in just a second. Experience, right? Resellers have great ground level experience that is very difficult normally for manufacturers or anybody who sells direct to really compete with.
Right.
Like toe to toe. Like they might have experience in, certain aspects of the business, like an installation maybe, but the ongoing maintenance or other aspects of a solution over the lifetime of the solution, very rare that you run into a manufacturer that has that full scope. So you are bringing to the table experience, and you need to leverage that. Leverage the fact that you have the experience, that you have broadness of what you can bring to the table as well. Again, most manufacturers aren't going to have that. And then finally, services, right? I mean, most value-added resellers, where do they get their value add? Services that they're providing, right? So these are differentiators. Understand them, learn them, and then leverage them into the marketplace. That's the way that you're going to want to do that. So here's my use case. I'm going to put on my reseller hat, and I know I've been taking the mic here for a while.
No, you're fine.
I'm going to take, I'll put on my use case. When I used to be a reseller, we sold digital signage systems, and we started selling them a lot in healthcare entities. And we had the opportunity to go up against one of the major brands in the industry, a brand that sells today about $3.5 billion worth of displays.
Wow.
And they had a direct selling team. So we went into Christiana Care, which is one of the largest healthcare establishments on the East Coast. And it was us against this major manufacturer, who I'm not going to name because we distribute them. But anyway.
But at the time, they were the enemy.
and I worked for a very small reseller. And we had 20 people as our total team.
Right.
But we're a value-added reseller in digital signage. And we had certain knowledge. We had certain experience. And we had services that we could bring to the table that made it at the end of the road. So Christiana Care was interested, obviously, in putting digital signage in the weight rooms and all kinds of stuff.
Right.
We showed them the programs that we had with other hospitals, how we manage their content, how we develop their content, how we work with third-party partners to do the installation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We had a very robust solution, whereas the competition, they walked in their zoot suits, or their suits, and they had a very
this is the early 2000s,
yeah,
late 90s.
Right. This is they had a very polished look, and they could leverage their buying, and offer them the world on the displays and stuff like that. But we ended up winning because of all the aforementioned stuff, the experience that we brought forth, the services that we had, these types of things. So again, when you take a step back, and what differentiates a VAR, it's your experience that you're going to learn, Danny. It's the services that you provide, and it's the knowledge at the end of the road. Those are big things, and you got to make sure that you're coming across authentic and unbiased as possible. If you're just walking in with a one-trick pony, like, oh, I got your answer, and your answer is this one solution, and you don't have like a good, better, best, or maybe some other options, even if you're not sincere about them, it's nice to say, well, you want another option? Yeah, I got this other option over here, but it's not really for you. Right? Part of that game. So what do you think? I mean, those are some of my ideas around what
No, this is exactly why I wanted, obviously you were going to be on to have this conversation with me anyway, because you're on the podcast with me, but
because I'm here.
This is why you had
show up.
This is why you had to be part of this, though, because my 5 years of experience here in this channel have been on a wide variety of random stuff, and I'm still a million things I don't quite understand about it, and a million things that I could dive deeper into. You obviously have had the hands-on experience. You've been in that role,
right?
You've been embedded in this part of the channel, this distribution part of it for a long time, obviously. And you've had to tell this story many times over.
Yep.
And because a lot of people have this question. And again, I remember when I started, I had a hard time explaining to my wife, like, what does BlueStar do? Well, we do this. Like, but why are you guys necessary? Now, over time, I figured it out. I'm like, we actually do have a very important function, and people work with us for a reason. But again, that can be hard to explain. It can be hard from the VAR level, too. Again, wait a minute. So you're buying something from someone who bought it from someone else, and then you're selling it to someone else.
That's right.
And Why aren't they just buying it from the person that made it to begin with?
Yeah,
if they need
because you're adding your experience, your knowledge, and your services
and I
on
think
top
that's,
of all
that's
of that.
Your use case there made a very important distinction too about this is a channel, and more importantly, in this IT channel, the type of projects that our VARs get involved in, the type of things that we work on, are not, it's not a grab and go type thing.
No,
it's not a here's a widget, go play. Here's a barcode scanner. Here's a mobile computer. Here's a printer. See you later.
Yeah, good luck.
Unlike us, in our personal lives, like I don't need, multiple steps of, of care and dedication in order to set up a router in my house. Like I follow the instructions, I do what needs to be done. If I need some technical support, it's out there. But I didn't need a full team to come in and do this kind of stuff.
That's right.
For me.
That's exactly
because
right.
I'm one person in one house with a very minimal little footprint that we're trying to accomplish here.
That's right. That's right.
At best, it's like I think I installed 2 routers that cover a few rooms, and that's it. Now
you didn't need the Geek Squad.
No,
to come
exactly.
in and do that,
So
right?
in this situation, but in these situations, and even if you're dealing with just a small mom and pop shop too, it's never that simplistic.
No,
and typically the people that we work with also, they're not IT experts. That's the whole point of this.
That's exactly right.
They
need somebody they need
could
the
go
reseller.
that route, right?
Well,
they could go the direct route, but odds are they're going to get that product and they're going to find a lot of frustration trying to figure out how to get it set up.
For sure.
Because they're not an IT person, and that's fine. That's where we sit. But then you take, and then as you scale those projects up even further and bigger, they become so big that if you don't have, that team that's got, partnerships, that's got services, that has experience, that can evaluate. And I really love that you pointed out this idea of, hey, as a VAR, you probably aren't married to just one vendor.
That's right.
You probably, maybe you've got some
rarely.
preferences or favorites and go-tos.
Sure you do.
But, if someone is turned off by, X vendor, just not someone I like, use their products, didn't like them in the past, that doesn't rule you out.
Oh, no.
You can pivot and move over. Or you can identify and be, like you said, be agnostic about it and say, look, I understand that, this is not quite for you. I've got something else I can recommend that from another vendor
Absolutely.
instead.
Yeah. You got to, in order to have that unbiased view, you really do need a breadth of products. And you don't need this huge breadth, just a couple of them. Like when we were in digital signage, we had, 2-3 displays that we could bring to the table.
Right.
2, 3, 4 maybe media players that our engineering team of like 2 or 3. So we're not talking a lot of people.
Right.
But they were really comfortable with the OS. They understood them. I think we were using HP media players back then. I mean, that was the one we led with. And so that's awesome, right? But you also had other options, lower cost options or server-based options, or at least that's what we had at the time. So absolutely. I mean, you need to be able to do that because that's what people are looking for. And that's the value that you're bringing. So it's wildly different than any other kind of direct sales. Like if you're in insurance sales, right? I mean, if you sell for Geico, you're up against, Allstate and other ones, and you might be competing with them, but the person that you're selling to doesn't need a team of people to put that insurance policy together for you once you buy it.
They probably only care about the cost. Let's be honest.
Right. Yeah.
Like the value. There might be, you might have values there, but I think this is a kind of an industry where the value adds that we're talking about move things so much further beyond just a price play. Because I think a lot of, again, yours was a great example. And I think especially if you're dealing with a large project, there are plenty of these companies who may come in and they may come in the door and you can, Danny and any other new VAR listing, go back and listen to some of our old marketing episodes about creating demand and dealing with, buying groups and stuff.
For sure.
There's lots of good content in there about how to deal with those situations. But in general, when you go into those situations, there's going to be a little bit of bias that's already built in. You might think like, oh, they already have an idea about what they're trying to accomplish and what they want to do. And it's up to you to help kind of break those molds a little bit. And I think if you're not willing to be diverse, if you're not willing to have that kind of, openness to what you're going to offer and lending some experience and showing them like we can do more that's beyond just the price play. Because maybe that's what they think, that they just want to find the lowest price. But then when you help them understand, well, you can get the lowest price from those folks, but you're not going to get all of this other stuff from them.
That's right.
And you're going to find yourself more frustrated. You may have paid that lower price, but how much more time and money are you wasting trying to figure it out on your own.
That's right.
Without having all this other the other services that we have to offer.
The unfortunate part of our industry is that you will, and Danny and others that are new to this channel, you're going to have prospects out there that are going to mine you for information, and then they're going to walk away and they're going to try to do it themselves, and they'll be back someday. But anyway, that definitely happens, right? I mean, you have the consultative sale. You're walking them through. You've defined your value proposition. They're nodding their heads. You're educating them on all the pitfalls and all the issues and why the solution is the best, and then they're going to walk away from you. So that's going to happen, but that doesn't happen most of the time. Most of the time, what happens is people are endeared to you because you are seen as an unbiased, type of view that's truly bringing a solution that is a holistic solution that is broader than the narrowness that probably a direct sales is bringing to the table, and you can really win that way. That's how you win.
And the last comparison I'll say on that fact is, like, let's say you go to a clothing store and you're looking for a certain item of clothing, or a certain thing, and you find what you like, and you're like, yeah, I like this, and someone showed you, maybe an associate took you over there, they showed you, they recommended this, said it would be a good fit, maybe even tried it on or whatever, like you're like, oh great,
marvelous.
And then you, while they walked away for a few minutes, you got on Amazon or Walmart or whatever and found you could get it for like $30 cheaper.
That's right.
So you did that. Okay, this is not the same kind of thing though, because you can do that because at that point you've reached the end of any need for anyone else anyway. The transactional part of the relationship
it's
is
just
over
that it's transactional at that point.
Exactly. You just know, like, I just want to get this because I know I like it, and I'm done, and I'm just going to find the cheapest price. It's not the same way here. This is not, like, you don't need in the store the person to come home with you, help you try it on, show you how to wash it, tell you how to properly hang it and store it and take care of it and maintain it. Like, you don't need that, or tell you when it's time to switch out and get some new wardrobe because you're out of style. That's not happening. You don't need that person to do that. But that is essentially what, as a VAR, your job then becomes. Hey, like, yeah, I helped you pick this out, but guess what? I am going to follow you home and help you put this in place, get it started. I'm going to tell you when when it's time to upgrade. I'm going to help you make the next move when your time there. If you have problems, you're going to be able to reach out to me. Like, that's the big difference there. This is not a transactional sale. It's a very much a relationship sale. And you're going to encounter customers that are simply going to say, I'm good doing this on my own. And maybe they are. It's possible. But I guarantee you, to your point, more often than not, it's not. And at some point, they will find their way to you.
They're definitely going to call you back.
And here's the thing,
always
too.
Happen.
I'll always say with that is, don't burn that bridge. If they do that to you, don't be like,
You're
well,
still
screw
their
you, I'm gone. Just say, hey, no worries. All right, I'll check back in with you. And maybe a year later, you call them back and say, hey, how'd it go with blah, blah, blah. And you might find out at that point, like, well, it's kind of a nightmare.
You're tapping into a really good point here, though. Value-added resellers need relationships. I mean, that's how business continues to go moving forward. Whereas if you're a sales guy for just a thing and you're just trying to get that sale, I mean, we've all been there. The alpha person, guy or girl, doesn't matter. I'm out for this sale. Buy this from me. And they're going to hammer you until you buy that thing from them. I'm thinking car sales now. Unfortunately, we're going to pick on them a little bit. But, that is not the case here. Even if you've walked them through the whole process, you've consulted with them, they went somewhere else, okay. You still you need to be friends with them. You need to, because that relationship will yield in the future. I guarantee it. Guarantee it.
Definitely.
So, which is unique to this world. Right.
It is.
I mean,
very much is.
Other sales guys are like, oh, screw that. I lost that deal. I hope I see them dead on the side of the road or something like that.
I could care less whatever happens to them. I hope their company fails and burns. All right. Well, then you've kind of touched on this a little bit about the changes in the channel over the years. Obviously, from your so you did work for a VAR in the past. You obviously have this experience in digital signage. What has changed? That's been what, maybe 15, 20 years ago? Yeah. So what's changed
15 years
between then and now? Because I'm sure sometimes people think like that's not a lot of time. But I think in this channel, a lot of stuff can happen over just that amount of time. So what's changed since then?
There's a lot of changes that are happening. I mean, when you think about the reseller themselves and the need to turn into a solution integrator, that's broader that we talk about. I got 4 things that I'll bring to the table here. What's changed? The ecosystem, right? And we talk about partner assisting and the need to have an ecosystem of partners that you can bring to bear on any particular need or solution. Like, you're going to know your core, but you're also going to need to know the ancillary things that are around that. That is different. You used to be able to walk in. I used to be able to walk in and just talk digital signage. If I was selling digital signage today, I would need to know back-end analytics. I would need to know content. I would need to know much, much more than just, hang this monitor there. type of thing, and run this software on it.
Here's the button to turn it on.
Here's the button to turn it on. I mean, that's maybe the way we began, but there's no way that it's the way today. So you need an ecosystem. What's helping that, and another thing that has changed in the channel is vendors. Vendor enabling those who work in a channel-friendly environment. So I think the smart vendors understand now the whole idea around an ecosystem, the whole idea around enabling the partners, the whole idea that they are not usually just the single source of the solution. They are a component in that. And so a lot of them, the smart ones, have pivoted to a world where they have human resources on staff that are helping resellers through that ecosystem, right? I mean, we've talked countless, whether it's Elo, Epson, Zebra, Honeywell. I mean, they all have people that help walk VARs through their ecosystem to help them develop. That never used to exist. I mean, you would have a one-to-one relationship maybe with a vendor rep, but all that vendor rep was trying to, am I going to make my number this month? That type of thing. How much you buying from me?
Are you going to sell my products or not?
Exactly. That's it. But now, they vendors truly understand that they needed to pivot over to enabling resellers. And so that's out there. Another thing that's changed in the marketplace are just the increased low-cost threats. I don't know of another way to put it, that especially in our industry here, when you get into a mature industry, when an industry is kind of growing, you've got a lot of margin that you can make. Well, we're not there. Resellers, distributors, manufacturers are all making lower margins because of low-cost products coming in. So,
or even consumer products if people try to use.
Or consumer products, absolutely. So I never really had to deal with that. And this is a little bit more specific to our industry. There's that increased threat now of low cost that has really changed the channel. And so resellers have had to pivot to how do I combat that? What do I offer now from a monthly, kind of as a service model to combat that? These are the types of things that I think that are really kind of making a change in the marketplace. The last thing here that I'll throw on there, and again, this is around a mature market, consolidation that's happening. Consolidation on the reseller side, consolidation on the vendor side. It's a sign of a mature market. It's kind of the industry that we're in, but that has changed a lot. There used to be a lot more manufacturers. There used to be a lot more resellers out there. Especially at the top tiers, the larger companies, there's been a significant amount of consolidation. Now, that's good news and bad news. I mean, there's still a marketplace, there's still a need, and the smaller resellers, I think, win when they show how nimble they are, and they can go in with tech stacks that are very sophisticated and can be even more holistic than the initial solution maybe that they were brought in for. So there's ways to just leverage everything that I just said. The growing ecosystem, the fact that vendors are enabling their partners even more, the fact that you're going to be encountering low-cost threats out there, everything that we just talked about when you're selling against a direct-to-model, and then the consolidation is happening. All these things you can leverage to the good if you just know that they're happening. So that's how I've seen the channel change.
Well, I mean, obviously, I don't have too much to add to that because I haven't been in the channel as long as you have. I mean, I can say just from, again, like 5 5.5 years, as closing on now, my experiences, the consolidation thing is definitely something I've noted, is happening along the way. And then also, I think the only other one I really had, and maybe this was still, prominent further back, but I feel like software has become so much more prevalent.
Yes. Well, no, there's.
I mean, just that there's so many. Yes. There's so many more ISVs, TSCs, whatever you want to call them, out there in the market that are making the software play, and then are also embedding themselves into the channel.
That's
too.
a
Because
really
again,
good point.
I feel like there's a lot of these software companies out there, and we've seen it just grow with our TEConnect program over the years. There were plenty of them that were kind of like, well, we're doing our thing. We don't really need to be part of this whole channel thing.
Yeah, right.
But I think more and more of them, and just this last year at VARTech was a very clear example of that. Of
absolutely
just the sheer volume of ISVs that showed up and wanted to be part of the solution city, wanted to present themselves at TEConnect Live. We're out there wanting to make connections with VARs, which tells me like, hey, they're recognizing that there is a place for them in the channel as well, and that they want to be part of this channel. And again, part of this whole front to back solution that a VAR is ideally going out there and selling. So I think that's just something
That's
just
a really
just
good
in the
one.
last 5 years has changed quite a bit, even from when I first started. Like, we talked about software, but like, the size of that program compared to now and the amount of software vendors that we were regularly working with has grown so much in just 5 years.
Yeah. So, I mean, to give you the numbers, I think in 2000, I'm not going to get my years right, but I think it was 2019, there were 100,000 ISVs in channel sales, and channel sales are pretty big. Now the umbrella is like all of IT, which is huge.
Right.
And in just 7 years, so 14, whatever, 2025 or so, 2026, there would be 1 million ISVs.
Wow.
So from 100,000 to 1 million, that's 10x of software companies coming into the space within a 7-year period.
Yeah.
You hit the nail on the head. There's just a lot more software, a lot more niche players, right? And that's where a lot of, when I think about millennials and Gen Z, where the business is, it's in software. It's because software is a service. We're a very service-oriented economy now here in the U.S., and one of those services is software and making software unique to a particular use case. And so, absolutely agree.
I would venture that, especially as we keep moving forward, a lot of businesses, companies, entrepreneurs that are looking for an IT solution to some sort of a problem within their business, whatever that problem may be. I would venture that a lot more of them now already, and definitely as we keep moving into the future, we'll start thinking first about what kind of software do I need for this problem? What kind of application can solve this problem? I don't know that too many of them are starting off thinking like, what kind of barcode scanner am I going to need? What kind of digital signage am I going to need? I don't know if that's the case. Like, I think people, they'll know they need that stuff. Like, again, I'm thinking like, let's say you're starting up a brand new retail establishment of some sort, and you're thinking, all right, I know I need a point of sale.
Yeah, exactly.
And I know that point of sale has to have cash drawers and monitors and barcode
receipt
scanners.
printer thingy. Yeah.
But is that where they're starting? Are they starting off with, how do I get all that stuff? Or are they thinking, let's see, here's all the stuff I need to accomplish. This is what my business is focused on. This is how I want to go to market. This is how the kind of SKUs I'm offering up and what I need to keep track of and the inventory control I need to have. I would think a lot of them were starting off by talking about what is the point of sale broadly software, the customer management software piece first. And then once they figure that out, you build the hardware around it. So again, if you're that person coming to them, helping them figure out that part of it because you have those relationships, at that point, the hardware part becomes easy, I almost think. It's just a matter of like, all right, what do you actually need, your daily needs, and we'll sort that out. Yeah. And this is not my way of, because obviously, the hardware is a big part of what we do, but it's not my way of saying like that part is unimportant. Just that I think, again, as people that are more tech savvy and more used to, when you think about what you got to do on your phone, you're not thinking about I don't know. Like, I know we all talk about like when a new iPhone comes out or a new Android or whatever, like some people get into all the specs, but at the end of the day, most people that are buying the phone just want to know, like, can I get Facebook on it?
That's right.
Can I get,
what's the battery life?
Yeah. What's the battery life?
Maybe that's as technical
as they get. Can I get my email on it? What apps can I put on there? How does that game I like to play look when I play it on there?
Right.
They're thinking about the stuff they do on it and not the actual mechanics and deep dive specs of the device itself necessarily.
Yeah, but if I could go down a path here, because, kind of getting to the first question there, what differentiates, what's the value prop for a reseller? I think you're tapping into it because like just your use case, hey, we're starting a new store or a new restaurant. We know we need POS, if we even know to call it that. We need we need a cash register. We need or whatever, right? But they don't know maybe all the ways in which it can affect their business and the back end and stuff like that. And they can go direct to a manufacturer or a software and see all the fabs, the features and benefits and stuff like that. But contextually, you're the one who's going to bring the context of, here's what it can do. What are you trying to do with your business again? All of this stuff is customized selling, right? That's what really makes VARs and this channel unique, is that everything's customized to a certain degree. It's rare to be able to walk and just pull off the shelf, oh, this is the solution I need.
Exactly.
Even the most, the ones that really try to home it in on just a specific niche type of a POS or something like that, there's still some customization that hasn't it?
Yeah.
So anyway,
completely agree.
Yeah, good stuff.
All right. Well, hey, let's see. We've been teasing this a couple times here. We asked several of our VAR partners at VARTech this year.
Yes.
James Cordy brought some of them into the BlueStar booth, sat them down, recorded some little interviews with them.
Yep.
A wide range of different questions, just about their experience and what they've done. And one of the questions that he asked them was, if you were starting your company all over, most of these were executives and CEO and high level folks. If you were starting your company all over again, what would you do differently? So first, let's listen to a few of those answers, because even though you may not be the person listening that, you're not the CEO, you're not starting a brand new reseller company.
Right.
This is still relevant info to understand about, how you might want to operate as far as being someone new in this channel and in this business. Or again, if you're a seasoned pro and you're bringing people in, understanding, where some other folks feel like they might have done things differently. So let's listen to a couple of those real quick.
And today, especially, hiring the right people is the main attribute that you have to go for. Lots of technology, a lot of good things out there, but people make the difference.
No. There is one thing I would do different, and that would be more aggressive with growth. But the concept of the company, how we started, why we started, that would be the same.
That's kind of success, so that makes sense. In terms of being more aggressive with growth, what would that look like? Growing the team more quickly?
Growing the sales team, engineering, support, etc. Yeah.
Yes, I think my number one thing would be create more partnerships, work with other people. I kind of kept too many things close to the vest, and I should have really had more partnerships. But when I started 28 years ago, there were not BlueStars, or I hadn't really developed a relationship with the BlueStar. Now it's much more easier to do that, but back then it was much more difficult.
Absolutely. I think this is an unprecedented time these days that we actually have 5 generations in the workforce, everything from the Gen Z all the way up to the traditionalists. So if anything that I would do differently, I would probably have the management team that I would hire, probably go through a lot of maybe seminars and understanding how each generation works with each other, to understand that maybe what one person's saying isn't really offensive, versus someone else who thinks it's offensive. And move right into culture. I would think that would be the number one thing I would do right start with. I love that.
All right, that was good stuff.
That's really good stuff right there.
I like a lot of what we heard there. There's 4 distinct. We had 4 different ones here.
Those are some really, those guys know what they're talking about.
They were. They were not. They were not the kind of
time.
answers I expected, because I think you ask a question like that and you think some people are just going to say like, well, I wish I'd I wish I'd gotten on board with Apple sooner or something, like, I don't know, you almost expect a kind of flippant answers.
Yeah, right.
And these answers were all
guys, yes.
They were very well nuanced.
Absolutely.
And so the 4 that I pointed out, we had one basically talking about hiring the right people.
Yep.
Which again, if you're listening to this because you're a new VAR, hopefully you are that right person that they've hired.
That's right.
If you're a veteran and you're thinking about people, I think it's obviously important to think about having the right people and what does that actually mean.
Can we pause on that
go
one?
ahead.
Because if you're a new reseller, I mean, that this is really, really important. Like, I think your point is absolutely valid there. You are just hired on because you are going to be part of the value proposition, right?
Exactly.
And so understand that. You might be a newbie today, and I totally get it. I mean, even though I came from a reseller, when I started at BlueStar, I'm like, oh, I know what BlueStar does. Dude, I had no idea what the nuance of this channel. And so it's going to take you some time. It'll take you 6 months. It'll take you a year. It's going to take you some time to understand how you fit into the value proposition. But it's really important, when they talk about hiring good people, this is a business owner telling you that, hey, from a reseller's perspective, the people that I have are some of the most important, if not the most important thing that my business has. Realize that you are a cog in that wheel and do your best to achieve and execute accordingly, because everybody else is dependent on it.
You're helping create the very relationships. And you are a part of that value add proposition.
That's it.
And ideally, whether you're hiring or you've been hired, it's because you're someone that they're trusting and hoping is going to be that person.
You got the chops.
Yeah.
You learned the chops maybe somewhere else. Insurance, selling cars, doing something else. That's the way we look at it. When we look at people that we're hiring on, dude, nobody has worked for an electronics distributor in Cincinnati. It doesn't happen, right? And so, or now that we're hiring even broader, it doesn't matter. We're looking for the skill sets, right? And then we'll teach you the channel and we'll teach you the value add distribution proposition that we have. Resellers are no different.
Right.
They'll teach you the world, their world, if you will, but they're looking for certain skill sets.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
that's what you're bringing.
Next comment said they wish they'd been more aggressive with growth. How did you take that? Like, how do you feel?
No,
about
this
that?
is a brilliant one and I'll connect it right to the reseller, the sales guy who's working now for a reseller. What that means is you're gonna get really comfortable with your solution sets.
Right.
You're gonna understand what you have. You're gonna be able to do the talk. You're gonna be able to walk the walk and do those types of things. You are gonna be in conversations where somebody's gonna propose something to you, and you maybe don't have the authority to say yes or no, but you do have the authority to say, you know what? Let us think about that. I'll try to come back to you with a solution. Go back to the office, talk to the powers that be, push them a little bit to grow into different areas. So growth, a lot of times, especially in resellers, comes from the bottom up. At least the resellers that are successful at navigating and evolving, it's a bottom up type of environment, right? It's the people at the top that understand, well, maybe I'm not connected to the day-to-day, what's happening actually ground level with the troops on the ground, if you will. And so those that listen to that feedback are going to be able to navigate. And ultimately what you're looking for here is aggressive growth comes through an ecosystem. So maybe you got to go out and find a new partner to solve this niche thing that this prospect or customer is looking for. So you have to be open-minded to that and be aggressive when it comes in. If you're going to have an aggressive growth,
be aggressive.
There I didn't know there was a cheer for it, but
sure. I don't know where I heard that. I have no idea where that came from, but it's somewhere embedded in my brain.
But, make sure that you have that. It's a great disposition to have. Aggressive growth is a great disposition to have, and to push the envelope a little bit. It doesn't have to be a lot every year, but if you're pushing a little bit every year, you're doing good things.
Yeah. All right. I could not have said that one any better myself.
There you go.
That's it was an interesting comment, and I was curious what your take was. That was right in line there.
Yeah.
The next one said more partnerships.
Dude, does that not just fit right into our world?
Yeah.
It was so nice to hear him say that because, here we are, we're like up on our soapbox, more partnerships, ecosystems.
Not to mention he said it at VARTech, which is the whole goal of that is to bring people together to develop partnerships. It's like, you're here for the right reason. Okay, great.
Absolutely.
You're not just here for the food and drink. Okay, cool.
Good stuff.
And then the last one, which I thought this was a fun one too, because we've had a lot of conversations about related to this over time.
Yeah.
Generational workforce training and culture. I specifically like how he framed this, not just the idea of having a diverse workforce, which obviously is important. And it's, again, I think if you want to go to market and be able to work with any different type of customer in any situation, having a diverse workforce is going to help you do that. But it's also the fact that he specifically called out the idea of, I would love to have like my executive team or have executives that have been through training about understanding different generations and different cultures and different ideals and philosophies on work and being able to represent and work with all of those. And that's the kind of thing you don't hear someone at a high level say, an acknowledgement that like, look, my generation or certain generations are getting older and eventually are on their way out. Younger generations have come in. We've got Gen Z working alongside everybody now, who has maybe potentially different philosophies, different attitudes, different, ideas about how to go to work and do the work. It's important that we pay attention to who they are and what they believe too, and not just not try to mold them to what we've always done.
Yeah. I thought it was great, excellent advice. It's one of those things that you don't really think about a lot, but when you're a reseller and when you're selling for a reseller, you're going to come across all generations, whether it's the people that you're working with or the people that you're trying to sell with or the people that you're trying to partner with. Having a broader understanding of the generations and how they react, it's interesting. 5 different generations. So I agree with Ed. Look, when you think about it, that's a lot of different perspectives on life. The baby boom generation thinks a lot differently than the Gen Z. So I mean, but it's important to know that all those are in the equation. Really insightful.
Exactly. All right, so that was good stuff. Now Danny asked in particular, one of the big questions he asked in particular of us is what verticals that we would focus on as a newbie.
Yeah.
So particularly, he wanted to know what our thoughts were on that end. Are there places we should be focusing? Like, so again, let's say you are that reseller that has a pretty diversified tech stack. Maybe you can sell into retail, supply chain, healthcare. You're fairly limitless, or at least
I wish I had that crystal ball.
Not bound.
Yeah.
So where would you devote your time and energy? I mean, do you have a suggestion here?
This one was a little hard for me to answer, so I'm going to break it down into different technologies because I think it matters, at least in what we distribute. It's a little bit different.
Right.
So I got buckets of ADC, POS, or digital signage.
Okay.
And there could be other buckets. So we'll just stay with the big two, ADC and POS. On the ADC side, I really think that manufacturing is going to make a resurgence. And so there's a lot of work around manufacturing, whether it's the back of house WMS or it's the logistics portion of it. I think manufacturing is definitely an area that I would look into. Anyone that's around, my area, I would be diving into that and trying to propose solutions to those folks because if they're successful, if they're manufacturing today, it's only going to continue to grow. And by the way, these are typically the people that don't really invest in that. These are going to be the Excel people. We track everything. It's on this Excel sheet, clipboard right here right? So they're the ones that are most desperately in need of
I know where that piece of equipment is. Johnny checked it out 4 days ago.
I can't read off that smudge.
Haven't seen him since. I haven't
seen him since.
I'm sure he still got it.
I got a unique one, real estate. So, real estate on the commercial side, not a great place to be in right now, but construction is going to continue because we have a housing shortage that ain't going away.
Yep.
I mean, everybody's trying to figure out what do we do with this commercial space? We need to convert it to like places where people live. So look at the construction chain. You're going to have companies that need efficiencies along the way. There's a lot of waste in construction. I don't know if you've ever gone by a construction site. I mean, there's waste everywhere. They got big bins that just take waste away. So anyway, there's a lot of efficiencies that can be had there. You should dive into that. Two more for you. Trucking and logistics, that ain't going away. Our need to move products around, whether it's on the aggregate from getting stuff off of ships and traveling to the last mile. There's a lot of need for just basically logistics. And then finally, healthcare. I mean, we've talked about it ad nauseum here. I know it's a little bit of a niche getting into healthcare, but there are opportunities as these healthcare systems expand and things of that nature. There are little unique areas where you can dive in and through some partnerships really get some good
And it isn't going anywhere. We're not going to stop getting sick. We're not going to stop aging.
Yeah, so I'll stop on ADC. What do you think? Or you want me? Because I only have
go ahead with the because mine's a little more general than yours anyway.
Is it okay? So on the POS side, retail is not dead. I don't think it's dead. The statistics will show you that people are still shopping in stores. It's going to come back. That's going to be a necessary part. I mean, when you think about it, we have some very large customers who put in maybe some of the largest customers in the world that are very good, adept at e-commerce and delivering stuff to your house.
Right.
They're starting to see their business slow down, and retailing is picking back up. So there's people still love to go out and shop and see things and kick the tires and stuff like that. So, that's definitely an area that I would be interested in. And then finally, on the POS side, in your tech stack, you got to understand how QR codes and payment is kind of revolutionizing things. I think that's how people are mostly going to be paying in 2, 3, 4 years down the road. So make sure you have that in your tech stack. That the software that you're distributing or that you're reselling, I'm sure they maybe already do. If they don't, you need to start looking at those partners because I don't know the last time you went to a restaurant. I mean, just about every restaurant I go to now, I get the receipt, and that's cool. Right. There's a QR code right there. I can just pay for it right there at the table. Boop, be on my way.
My favorite thing. If I see that, I'm just giddy. Makes me appreciate the restaurant that much more.
Exactly. Scan, boom, 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 done.
Yeah, exactly.
and out the door. So you got to have that in your tech stack. So anyway, those are some areas that I thought. Okay, some newbie.
Yeah, I'm glad you kind of went down that route because same as you, I was kind of like, man, this is a hard question to answer.
It is.
It can there's a lot of variability there. But
I'm looking up SIC codes and I'm like, holy, how do we answer this question?
But you made a good point about how there is opportunity out there within some of these subsects. Mm-hmm. I got even a little bit more general, and really my biggest advice probably is to really attack any industry where stagnation means elimination.
Ooh.
So if you find a company and you know if these folks keep doing it the way they've always done it, their business is going to go away. They're going to lose to other businesses that are doing it the new way or that have innovated, that have adapted this technology. Supply chain, I think, is a perfect example. Manufacturing as well.
Okay.
Because yes, you're right. There is the great opportunity, the fact that like manufacturing is not going anywhere. In fact, it's ideally going to start growing, especially here in the U.S.
That's right.
As we try to onshore more stuff again.
Yep.
Supply chain, we all know there's been issues with that, so there's a constant need to figure out how to evolve that.
Thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
right.
And, I mean, but if you get like warehousing, distribution, I guess,
Yep. Oh, gotcha.
transportation,
Right.
whatever you want to get into on that side of it in particular. Again, the need is still growing and everyone's still trying to sort it out. But those are also industries I look at and say, if you're not evolving, if you're not making these changes, if you're not adapting new technology, if you're not figuring out new methods for processes and, faster pick ship, faster, more insight into what's happening on a shop floor. If companies that aren't doing that are the ones that are not going to exist in another 20 years.
Yeah.
So that makes it even better for you to be able to the person to go in and have that conversation and explain to them like, look, this stuff is happening and I know you guys like what you're doing, but I can assure you your business probably won't still be around. You don't have to be a jerk about it, but like, maybe at least have that conversation. Like
leave the Grim Reaper
exactly,
costume in the car.
So, what's going to happen in 20 years when everyone else is doing this and you aren't, that's a good way to kind of pivot into that conversation. So I think if you're looking for those kind of companies and industries, that's probably a good place to start because at some point the need is going to be there unless they just, don't care and like, we're fine. I'm going to be dead in 20 years anyway. So, the business can end then too. It doesn't matter to me. Most likely they're going to be making that shift at some point. And even if they're not ready for it now, at least you having the conversation will make you hopefully someone they rely on when they come back later.
Yeah.
The only thing I'd add also is, if obviously anywhere that you can look for recurring revenue opportunities, if there's any chance that, any industry where you feel like getting embedded with them and offering solutions to them that they'll consistently need to either have some kind of subscription model. And granted, that's a whole different level and story. We might get into that here in a moment too. But, if there is opportunities for that, make sure you're looking for those opportunities. And that's the kind of business you should be looking for, especially out of the gate where you can maybe hopefully set up some kind of a foundation for yourself
for your
as
business.
a new VAR and for your business or whatever. And you may have some of that stuff already existing with whatever accounts you were given anyway. And then the last thing I think I would add is just look into industries that you like. Stuff that interests you.
It's always better to sell into somewhere where you have a little bit of a passion.
If you have that ability, if
you
have the ability, like if you're out there and you're, Danny, it sounds like maybe you're interested in figuring out like where do I start? If there are industries that excite you, that you're interested in what they do,
that makes it so much easier.
Go talk to them because you're gonna ideally you probably know a thing or two about them already because you're already very invested. Maybe it's something either you worked in the past or just a business you're fascinated by. You're interested in what they're doing. You might be pretty knowledgeable about them already anyway. And let's be honest, that goes a long way when you can go to someone. You don't have to know everything about a business to sell to them and work with them. But when you can walk in the door and already know a little bit about who they are and what they do and understand their day-to-day work, that goes a long way. And if you're excited about it, that comes out in your discussions and your presentations. And it's
that can have a
it's just a great place to start. Just go chase down business that you want to work with, people that you enjoy and things that you like doing. I mean,
there you go.
Why don't make work miserable for yourself,
Go knock on the door of your favorite sports team or go knock on, right? Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they need solutions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about BlueStar a little bit. Let's toot our own horn for a few minutes here. We don't normally advertise ourselves a lot, but obviously this conversation is all about adapting to the channel, and we have a place in the channel. So let's talk about where do BlueStar fit into this conversation? How do we help out new VARs, whether it is the actual new company or someone working for a VAR to get them acclimated and ready to succeed?
Yeah, so acclimation's one of those things that it's a little bit difficult to do. So I got 4 things that I'm bringing to the table from a BlueStar perspective that we're all very, very proud of. So number 1 is support structure. You're going to need a support structure. BlueStar prides itself on the fact that we have one-to-one relationships with our sales reps and their customers. So you VAR listening to this, you have a specific sales rep at BlueStar. which hopefully you like and you get along with. If you don't, we can make changes. But anyway,
let us know if you don't. Yeah.
No, absolutely let us know, because but that is a differentiator for us. That's not the case in other places where they can choose to elect to buy product. It's different. But not only is it the sales rep, we have the people behind the scenes through our BDMs, our product managers that are a part of our marketing team. We've got industry specialists that can bring to bear lots of information and knowledge that I was talking about earlier. Sometimes you don't know everything, but if you have a group of people around you that do and can talk about it, there you go. So support structure is one of those things that we help and can get those resellers acclimated. So start with your rep. If you need to, we've got other resources, human resources that can help.
Right.
We talked about our tech stack. I'm so glad that the one individual talked about partnerships and the need for that. Dude, we've got TEConnect. We've got a whole program around enabling ISVs and bringing them into the ecosystem and connecting them to resellers, connecting them to hardware manufacturers. So if you have a need, start out with your rep, reach out to your rep, ask them the question, hey, I'm looking for a point of sale and dry cleaning. Dude, we've got somebody in our program that specifically does that. So it doesn't matter how niche you get. We've got over 3,000 ISVs loaded up in our program, and we can help you navigate that. That's how how do you get acclimated? Start understanding and vetting who are some of the people that do provide these solutions. What are these parts and pieces of the puzzle that I'm going to have to pull together to make that happen?
Yeah.
We can help you there. Another thing that we bring to the table is financing. I know that one of the most difficult things for resellers to understand is when the relationship with a distributor is, okay, like you just pick, pack, and ship product to me, right? Yes, but we also provide financing, which is one of those things that if you're in sales, understand the fact that BlueStar can help. We have a myriad of financial programs that can help through our hybrid SaaS, or whether it's traditional leasing, or whether it's just an increase in your credit line. Those types of things. That's what one of the major value adds that a distributor brings to the channel is financing capabilities. So get acclimated with the money side. I know the money side could be very boring, especially to when you're a sales rep and you're an alpha and stuff like that. You go, I don't want to worry about the details. I got ADD and I'm just running forward. It's important to have a baseline knowledge of the financing. And then finally, how do we help VARs? Education. We do events. We do this pod. We have a tech university up on BlueStar Nation that you can go to and you can learn a little bit more about things. So there's an education piece that we bring to the table that's very unique, that we can help support you, again, through events, through things like this, through our tech university, just a lot of ways that we can help tap you into education so you get that knowledge.
Yeah.
There you go.
We're big believers in the no VARs an island.
No VARs an island.
You don't have to do it on your own. And here's the best part also, we've said this in other episodes, we don't ask for credit.
No, we don't care.
We'll make you look good.
We want you to look really good.
We'll make you look smart.
Absolutely.
We'll make you look like you knew it all from the start.
Yep.
Even if we're the ones that told you all about it.
That's right.
And we won't take the credit.
Yeah.
We'll let you have that. All we ask is you just buy the stuff from us and let us help you out, and it's all you.
There's no better use case to that than our Appware program, where we do end user demand generation for resellers. So if you're a newbie to this, by the way, pro tip number one, some of your vendors out there have dollars that they can allocate towards you to run programs, run end user demand. So who doesn't like getting leads and opportunities coming into them? That's one of the areas that we shine, we can help with. We take none of the credit. We just want our resellers and partners to look the best they possibly can through the end user demand generation we do. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah.
All right, before we wrap up here, any other little nuggets of advice for a new VAR that we haven't mentioned yet?
We tapped on a lot of them here today, but I'm going to be introspective. So if you are a new reseller, you're new to a reseller, here's the last piece of advice I would give to you. Get to know all the people that you're working with. When you walk in the door and you have the knowledge, the experience, and you're going into a sale or whatever, know all the people that are behind you, because it's good to tell that complete story. It's good to know the Brandon that is in your engineering department who's going to be working on, customizing the software and telling a story about his kids or whatnot. It's going to be really important to know who the accountants are, because of ultimately who's paying the bills, and I get Sandy over here, she's good, and here's you get to know the people that you're going to work with, because that'll make you feel much more comfortable about the solutions that you're bringing. Your value add proposition, by the way, is not just you as a human. It's the whole team behind you. So get to know them. There's my last piece of advice.
All I'll add is you mentioned earlier, one of the BlueStar values is, with the educational stuff that we bring.
Yeah, right.
I think in general, it's always smart to keep up with what's happening in the industry.
Oh, yeah.
Keep up with trends, keep up with the tech, keep up with innovation. Subscribe to newsletters, listen to podcasts. If you're listening to this, obviously you're already on a good track right there, because you're going to be hearing about a lot of.
You're genius already.
Yeah, you hear about all trends, you hear about topics, you know what's happening in the industry.
That's right.
Watch videos, subscribe to stuff. And look, I've said this before, and it's okay if you're the kind of person that doesn't like to consume work content outside of work. Fine, It is okay in my mind, and hopefully your boss would feel the same way, to absorb this kind of stuff and do this kind of research and absorb content while you're working. If you want to take an hour out of your day a few times a week to listen to a podcast or to do some deep dive research or some, read up on stuff, I can't imagine anyone's going to fault you for that if it makes you better at presenting solutions, makes you better at finding, opportunities, makes you better at understanding what's happening in the channel and in all the various industries that you work in.
Nice.
So that you're better equipped to sell them. So don't hesitate to do that. The only other thing I'll add is don't be someone who's afraid to, one, ask questions of anyone you need to ask those questions.
That's
right.
right.
You kind of mentioned that, like having your team together.
Yep.
And two, don't be afraid to say, I don't know.
Oh, right.
And I know this is a salesperson thing, because I've been in sales and you have a hard time.
You can't say I don't have the answer.
Salespeople have a hard time doing three things: asking for business, accepting no, and saying I don't know.
Yeah, right.
And I'm going to tell you, the I don't know one is one that's an easy hurdle to get over, because it is okay to tell someone that you're working with, like, I don't have the answer for that, but I have an amazing partners. And you can rattle off who they are. You don't have to. Again, you can just say, like, but I'm going to do the research and I'll get back to you on that. I'll be back in touch before the week's out or whatever. And then you call up your BlueStar account manager. Yeah. You reach out to one of our BDMs.
There you go.
Connect with your vendor rep.
Boom.
Whatever it is, get the answers. Go back, look like a genius. Again,
I love it.
We won't ask for the credit, but don't be afraid to take that step back, because I think, a great part of a value-added relationship is being able to sometimes step back and say, you know what? I don't have all the answers, but I know how to get all of the answers for you. I think that sometimes that lends a lot more credence to it.
Absolutely. That's what a solution partner is doing, right? I mean, there's pieces of the puzzle that maybe you don't have the answer, but you're going to find out, and you're going to vet it, and you're going to come up with the best solution possible.
Because if you had enough knowledge and ability to just answer every single question, know every single part of every single IT project, you probably wouldn't need to be part of the channel. You just are doing it all yourself,
Well, it gets back to
you're
stagnant. That was the stagnant. But you think you know everything, you're stagnant,
That's
dude. You don't know
stagnant.
anything. Yeah.
All right.
There's your sign.
There you go. There's your sign. All right, Danny, I hope we helped you out here. We got a little bit more in our value of the VAR section for maybe some of our experienced VARs that have been listening to this as well. But hey, to our point here, Danny submitted an idea to the show.
Yes.
We're always talking about this. Danny took us up on it.
Yep.
He started listening to the show, said, hey, I'm going to ask these guys for some advice about being a new VAR. And guess what? Here we are a few weeks later.
Yeah, boom.
A whole episode around it. It's that simple.
Yep.
So if you have ideas for the show, we want to hear from you, please. So first of all, obviously, if you're watching on YouTube, if you want to make a comment, ask about something there, have an additional question, drop it down there. If you're listening on a podcast of your choice, if there's any opportunity to rate and review, please do that. It's helping get the word out for the show, and it lets us know that you like what you're hearing here. But if you do want to connect with us and tell us your ideas, one, there's always a link in the show notes where you can submit your ideas for the podcast. All you got to do is send in an idea to us, even if we do not end up using it for the show.
Doesn't
something
matter.
Simple that we can just answer via email and don't
You're
need to do
still
a whole
getting a
episode.
shirt. That's
We're
right.
still going to give you a TEConnect podcast t-shirt.
That's right.
Ask Danny. He'll show you. It's a nice shirt. Because we all know each other, right?
Right, yeah.
And if you want to reach out to us in other ways, you can always find us on Twitter at TEConnectPod. You can also email us, TEConnect@BlueStarInc.com. All right, let's get things wrapped up here. First of all, with our value to the VAR segment. This is usually our way of wrapping up the conversation with a takeaway for our audience.
Right.
Obviously, this has all been about our VAR audience.
Yes.
But I mentioned at the beginning that this is a good conversation for someone, even if you've been in the industry for quite some time. So let's think about those established veterans. Why is it important for them to think like newbies and understand what newbies are going through and what they have to consider? And maybe even just like our folks that we interviewed at VARTech, maybe ask yourself that question from time to time, or ask other people around you, what would we do differently if we started all over again? Why do you think that's important?
Well, because if you're not asking that question, you're probably in a rut.
Yep.
And a rut is not a really good place to be in business, because you might be able to get away with it for a little while, but it's not going to last a long time. So you're definitely going to want to do that. And that's why I think it's important to have that perspective and to ask those questions. You're going to want to connect with what is happening today, what is going on, and what's going to be happening. These are really important things to ask. If you've been a veteran in it and you think you're in your comfort zone, I get it, because I've been there before, right? I mean, there's been times in my life it's like, oh man, I'm really comfortable with this. I got it. I understand what's going on. And then I'll have that meeting where I lost a long time customer. It's like, damn, what just happened? Type of thing. Yep. Well, I got complacent. I was in a rut, whatever. So make sure that you're not there, right? That you're not getting into that type of a position.
Yeah.
So
I have very little to add to that. I completely agree. Like, don't let yourself get into that rut. Don't assume that you know everything there is to know. And I mentioned this at the top of the show also. You are always bringing in new people, I'm assuming. If you're someone who's an established vet, whether you're in a management role or you're just someone who's a longtime vet and maybe you're probably leaned on to help coach and mentor and train new folks.
I was just about to go there, the mentor path, yes.
That's where you need to understand their point of view 100%. As well. You need to understand how coming into this industry now is a very different experience for them than it was for you.
So you got to think like a newbie, right?
Exactly.
What is a newbie coming into this industry? No, it's like your obligation to think like that and to mentor those that are coming into your world now and helping you. I'm glad you tapped in.
And I'll add
on
one extra layer there too, which is don't be afraid to be open to looking at things from a new perspective. Like
for sure.
As well.
For sure.
So they come in and they're like, well, why don't we do this way?
And you might
don't cross your arms and go, no, we've always done it the other way. If you're doing that, you're probably, one, sending a bad example to them, and two,
that's not mentoring.
Potentially cutting yourself off from something that could help you out too. So
good stuff.
Don't act that way.
Good stuff.
All right. We're going to wrap up our show, as always, with What's TEConnecting with You? This is our fun segment where we get to talk about anything from the world of science, tech, innovation that has our attention, caught our eye, maybe is terrifying us. Dean, I'll let you start as
nothing
always.
too terrifying.
Nothing terrifying this week? What's TEConnecting
I got
with
two
you?
of them, though. I just stumbled across this. What is the best day to head back to the office, right? So we're most of us are getting into this world of hybrid world. Right. I just thought I'd float across. Maybe you and I have talked about this, but what are the days of the week that now they've quantified it? By the way, office occupancy rates. What are the days of weeks that people are going back to work?
I think you had mentioned that it was like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Most people were doing middle of the weeks and staying at home on either end of the weekend.
Bingo. Right. So most people have gone to, if you're in a hybrid, you're either doing 2 or 3 days a week. The highest occupancy days right now are Tuesday and Wednesday. 47% is the peak of occupancy on those particular days. Thursday's coming in a little under that at 44%. Monday would be your fourth most popular day, only about 39% occupancy there, which duh.
Right,
and then to nobody's surprise, the day that nobody's in the flipping office, Friday.
Right.
Friday is seeing about 25% occupancy. So there you have it. If you were wondering where you fit in your hybrid world, and I've got anecdotal evidence of that, because when I come into work, and I come in varying points every day during the week. Right. Dude, traffic on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, bad. Yeah. It's like it's full up pre-pandemic and worse than that. Right, but if I come in on a Monday, boom, I'm zipping right in. So anyway, there's that.
And the lesson there is too is like if you want a nice quiet office, maybe come in on Friday.
Oh, absolutely.
If you're not someone who wants all the hustle and bustle and just wants to get to work.
But you still have to check the box that you got to be there?
Yeah.
Go in on Friday.
There you go.
There's your pro tip of the day.
Okay.
Mondays and Fridays. All right. So the other one that rung with me is, it's a small headline. Architects use AI to imagine living buildings. So the reason why I was interested in this, remember at VARTech, we used Midjourney, which is an AI that illustrates, if you give it prompts, words, and we've talked about it on the show before, like, you could say, whatever, you can prompt it, beach ball on the moon being bounced around a volleyball court. And the AI will take those words and then try to draw that picture. So they're using it in architecture, and they've prompted it with, what would it look like to live in a living building? And when you think, I know for those of you listening on the audio side, I apologize. We'll send you, go get the show links and go look at this. It's kind of weird what AI is coming, gorgeous stuff, but basically it's like take an apartment building and take a redwood big tree and smash
Just merge
it.
the two together.
Just smash it together. And it's like, here, I'll show you a picture. But anyway, it's like,
interesting.
It looks like big trees and apartment buildings in it. So you see glass doors and stuff like that, and you can see the
It's
various...
more that you're building into the tree.
Well, anyway, right. So it was just interesting. It made me take a step back. And it's like, man, dude, this AI stuff is being used everywhere. Even architects are trying to get inspiration, from artificial intelligence. Okay, what would it look like if we were to build buildings that were living, right? Around the whole green thing. And I totally get it. Well, this is what a computer thinks it would look like. So anyway, very fascinating.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
I think that'd be kind of fun, actually.
Yeah, right?
Like a tree building.
Not like a Hobbit, though. Like,
no. I don't want to do the. If nothing else, because I'm too tall. I'm a little too Gandalf.
6'1" or something like that.
6'2", yeah.
6'2",
I'm much more Gandalf than I am Bilbo. So that would work for me. Good stuff, though. Okay,
let's TEConnecting with you.
And you want to talk about like the housing crisis? Like, there's plenty of redwoods out there in California.
Start boring.
Never mind. We are trying to protect them, but all right. Every now and then we like to talk about poop on this show from time to time.
Every now and then, yes, of course.
I've got a poop story today.
All right, fair enough.
This is the headline from Fast Company. Everybody poops, but not everybody's poop gets spontaneously combusted underwater. So
that would make me. Can we define that as clickbait? By the way.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I saw the headline and I'm just like, well, I'm reading this article.
How can I not? Yeah.
Come on.
Oh man. All right. So fill us in, please, dear sir.
This notes that around the world, 4.2 billion people, nearly half the global population, either don't have a modern toilet or use sewage systems that release untreated human waste into the environment.
Did you just say half?
Half. 4.2 billion people. That's insane. Come on.
Wow.
So one, yuck, awful. We should be doing much better than that. And two, apparently somebody has, and plus they know those that do use, toilets, like it's a lot of inefficient systems or wasting a lot of water.
Yep, right.
So we've got a professor, Dr. Shannon Yee, who notes that his name rhymes with P, and he thinks that can be part of the fun joke. He says he's come up with, he joined part of a foundation, the Gates Foundation there, a Reinvent the Toilet Challenge.
Okay.
So he worked with a team of engineers.
Right, yeah.
He's not from this industry. He's not from any kind of biology industry. He's actually got a background in thermal energy technologies.
Oh, well, there you go.
But they came up
energy. I got it, though.
They basically came up with a toilet that runs on electricity and essentially kind of, for lack of a better term, can compost your waste, essentially.
Okay.
So here's how I quickly explain this here. So this would make the water issues in places, or this would make it easier to bring toilets to places that lack them and also solve the water issues in places that don't currently exist.
All right.
Stated very simply, we're taking infrastructure and we're turning it into an appliance. No water's coming to the toilet and no output sewage. You just plug it in wherever you need a bathroom and it treats your waste.
Okay.
Essentially,
what does it do?
He refers to the design as similar to an espresso machine. I don't know if that's the connection I want to make. But it runs on electricity, has a front end unit that looks just like a toilet. And in the back end, the back end, it's turning solids and liquids that are kept separate. The poop gets subjected to intense heat and pressure and essentially compacted into apparently a
square or something like that. Yeah, okay.
Something that
a brick.
That can
We're just going to call it a brick.
Yeah, exactly. A brick that we take away. The actual urine gets purified and is actually used to help flush the toilet. Here we go. While the feces is transformed into small odorless feces cakes. Again, branding. Got to work on the branding part there, bud. They don't have marketing people working on this yet.
Clearly not.
Which
this
can
is an
be
engineer.
composted or thrown in the trash.
All right.
They are field testing these super toilets around the world right now. They've successfully said the design will help be able to save cities millions of dollars in waste processing and sewage infrastructure costs.
Well, there you go.
But
it takes energy. I thought you were going to tell me like the poop creates the energy to run the device.
That's the weird part here. Is they said we entered into this phase of matter known as a supercritical fluid where the feces spontaneously combusts underwater. It's a pretty unique way of doing this.
Yeah.
We could actually burn feces underwater. They don't really get into too much of that explanation because that was the
some
hook
explaining there
in the article.
Yeah.
But either way, I mean,
so they hook bait. They bait.
They did, but still, this is very smart science. Like there's
clearly
there are some very good ideas there.
You
Because
got thermal engineers looking at this
waste
stuff.
treatment is a serious issue, and
for
everybody
sure.
poops. We're not going to stop again anytime. It's one of these things that's not going to stop happening. So I appreciate the innovation there. So
we got a man on it. We got somebody. We got to figure it out.
We got someone working on it, and his name is Yi.
Yi.
And he gets the joke.
Yeah.
All right, folks, that does it for us. Hey, Danny, thanks so much for submitting your
Thank
idea.
you, Danny.
Feel free to send some more in. We'll send you more shirts. Sure, why not?
Why not?
We got plenty of them around here.
Yeah, we do.
Not enough people were asking or giving us ideas, so we got some shirts.
There you go.
Until next time, it is time for us to unplug. So until next time, put your zoot suit on and go out and sell to the masses. But make sure you have some good partnerships along the way. And as always, folks, please stay connected. TEConnect podcast is brought to you by Zebra. Dean, RFID is nothing new.
No, it's been around a little bit.
For a little bit.
But it's growing.
Yes.
Yes.
The roots of RFID can be traced back as far as World War II with the development of the first identification friend or foe, IFF technology.
That's true.
Since then, advancements in RFID capabilities have made it an indispensable asset tracking tool for organizations across a wide spectrum of industry sectors.
True.
And adoption is accelerating.
Yes, it is.
In some sectors, retail, for example, the percentage of companies not considering RFID is only in the single digits.
Oh,
at this
wow.
point.
Really? See, that's good stuff.
So they're all thinking that's kind of important for this particular episode, too. Like
little bit.
Another opportunity.
Another opportunity.
Retailers are thinking about it. Even if they're not doing it, they're at least thinking about it.
Boom.
Zebra wants to help you understand how this technology can fit into your business with an ebook called The RFID Opportunity, a Guide for VARs. As you'll learn in this new ebook, there are myriad industry-specific applications and benefits that will drive the adoption of RFID systems for years to come. As interest in RFID continues to grow, so does the opportunity for VARs. They have the in-house expertise to connect customers with the ideal solutions for their needs and budgets.
We were just talking about all this stuff, were we not?
Yeah.
I mean, what a perfect segue into some
one
content.
of our partners is already helping out here to help you get into some new industries and develop some new relationships.
I love it when a plan comes together.
Don't you though? I didn't even I just randomly picked this ad and it just worked out too. Synergy, man. We got it going on here.
There you go.
All right, check out the link in the show notes to get your free copy of the ebook. TEConnect podcast is also brought to you by ELO. Restaurant owners need technology solutions that are connected, configurable, and streamlined.
That would help.
Yeah, it does. That's why ELO is the preferred hardware provider for business, industry-leading software companies. Oh, and you. I didn't mean you, Dean.
Oh, not me? You mean like
the
you?
The collective you of the VAR, the channel,
yes,
the folks that are listening. I'm not talking to you when I do these ads, Dean.
I understand. All right. Well,
you got all giddy over there.
No, I thought it was about me. I thought you were giving me like ELO product over here.
Yeah. ELO's software-agnostic solutions range from the front to back of the house, helping hospitality customers increase efficiency and improve guest satisfaction.
Are you going to talk about modularity?
Yes, I am. Spoiler alert. With a modular hardware platform,
I just pulled that one out.
Easily configured restaurant kiosk, digital menu boards, KDS stations, restaurant POS systems, tableside ordering, and line busting. Man, they got you covered.
Bingo.
Creating a connected restaurant has never been easier, from QSRs and fast casual to fine dining. Okay, mobile POS systems.
Yes.
Smart terminals.
Yes.
Interactive digital menu boards.
All important.
Order pickup technology.
Need it.
Why would you equip a restaurant with anything else?
No, you need all that stuff.
I mean, if you were starting a restaurant, you're helping someone innovate.
Check. You need all of them.
You need that stuff.
Yeah.
We've talked about that recently too. We had our Tech Bites episode that was all about. We talked about restaurants and like the innovations happening. It's here to stay.
Yep.
Go back and watch the old episodes, folks. Come on.
Yeah.
Check out ELO's full line of solutions at the link in the show notes.